Hello and welcome to another episode on this channel. Today we are going to speak about bullying with psychotherapist Dana Popa, and we are honored to have you here, Dana.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
It's a subject that it's so often met and still kind of silence around bullying. Please introduce yourself and then we are going to dive in the bullying subject.
Well, I'm a psychotherapist, as you said. I'm marital and relationship psychotherapist. I'm working also with the individuals and complex systems. Systems are families or teams at work. For 30 years in the Netherlands. Multiple languages and transgenerational and transcultural therapy. It's my focus. Yeah.
Thank you. That's awesome because the subject that we are going to talk about, it's trans everything and it has an impact everywhere. As you already know, I started talking about bullying from experience, from being bullied my entire life, basically, with years with and without. And I've seen in my own experience that bullying has so deep impact. And I want to know your opinion, and also for the people that listen, to know your opinion as a psychotherapist. What do you see happening? Is it often? When is bullying happening? Let's dive in and discuss those subjects.
Okay. Well, most of the time we think that bullying is something what happens only between kids. It's and we don't even realize that bullying is actually through a whole range of ages and all kind of types of bullying that exists. Yes. First of all, we have to think what is bullying actually.
So what is bullying from your perspective? We know from Google, but tell us what is bullying.
Bullying is what we see, a kind of teasing, constantly abusing and intimidating and dominate another person or another being. It can be also on animals, bullying. So when someone constantly and repeatedly is teasing and aggressively dominating and intimidating another being, that is what we call bullying. Actually,
it's basically a misuse of power.
It's misuse of power. That's true.
Can be physical, can be verbal, can be social.
Yes.
Mental, emotional, financial. Also, it's a wide range of bullying.
Yes.
Tell us, in your experience, how do you see people? How do you know when people are bullied or not? Can you spot victims of bullying?
In some situations, it's obviously when the kids, for example, when we were starting about kids, and when kids are coming in therapy, or I look around me, I see that some kids are submissive. They don't dare to go out. They don't dare to speak up. They try to fly away in something else, to be busy with other things than what requires at that moment to do. Kids who are eating too much, it can be, eating too much or don't eat at all. So there are, and especially emotional, not daring to be there. You mentally, emotionally to be present.
You see them detached. You just see them taking distance and being busy.
It's, of course, it's a kind of protection. You protect yourself, and you withdraw. Kids are withdrawing, or people. But we see that also in adults, or later in teenagers. Teenagers can be also bullied, and they can suffer a lot. We suppose generally that adults are more, grown up. They can stand for themselves, and they will not be bullied. But it's not true. In fact, it's not true at all. And we see this there are different types of bullying, from I don't know, at your work you can be bullied.
Yeah.
In a social context, you can be bullied. Parental bullying of children can also be. There are parents who are bullying their children.
Yes.
There is also something like sexual bullying, um,
Yeah.
cyberbullying. We see a lot.
And also a bullying that is not so often mentioned, it's bullying among neighbors. In the
Yes,
Netherlands, the statistic it's 1 in 3
yes,
get
I know.
bullied, and because we kind of think that we are big enough to protect ourselves, we don't speak about it. But also we as a family, we are bullied by our neighbors. And what I've seen is there is no support system for adults because we supposed to know what to do. But
Yes, it's true.
where is the bullying started? I mean, walk us into the process when bullying start, and why some people are bullied and why some people are not. I get so many questions on this one, but how did you get there? So please tell us uh, professionally, how did I got there?
It can be started, when you are a child, that when you are yourself bullied or you have a lack of confidence and you try to compensate it, by feeling yourself better, by putting other one down, or being when you are afraid of another person because it's different than you.
Yeah.
Kids are sometimes are afraid of other kids because they are different or they are saying something, and so they try to compensate by making themselves big and try to get other kids into it. They are starting to bully because themselves they have actually some lacks of uh,
Yeah.
uh,
So
security at the
so
end of the
those are the bullies. There are three parts in bullying: the
yeah,
bully, the
yeah,
victim, and the bystander. So
yes.
basically, when a bully starts bullying, it's
Hmm.
either because he was or she was bullied as a child, so she tried
Can
to
be,
compensate,
yes. Yeah.
or being scared by the difference around,
Hmm.
or can also be people who never was bullied but just all of a sudden decide to do it. Is that also possible?
uh, if you are never been, you don't have any problem or something, just start to bully for the sake of bullying. It doesn't happen that much. It has something, with you inside of yourself, what is happening at that moment. In one way or another, you try to take control over a situation.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Use the
just to
power.
start to yes, just to start to bully for the sake of bully. Well, I'm not very sure about that.
Is
I
not
don't know.
often. Yeah.
It's not often, no.
And then
It can be
how?
also, some people they are suffering themselves, in like depressions or what I say, anxiety, or
Yeah.
being mentally ill can
Mhm.
also be yes, a cause of starting to bully.
Yeah. So
Yes.
usually at the root of bullying, it's a different kind of pain. It's sort of pain in one way or another.
Yes, kind of pain, if you want to, kind of, you are hurt in
Yeah.
some way or another. You are hurt and you try to control your own pain or your own situation.
Yeah. Or blame others. That's also possible. Blame
That's
others for your pain because you cannot take it.
yeah, but then it's again taking control of a
Yeah.
situation, putting outside yourself, because then you don't have to be confronted with your own pain. You are just blaming others. Then so you shift it outside yourself.
Yes. And then how about victims? How victim get to be victimized? There is also a process.
Yes, for sure. There is also, most of the time you see that someone who is um, more sensitive,
Mhm.
to words, more sensitive to the person, more sensitive to the situation. Whether it's sensitive person, sensitive itself, herself, her or himself, or is in a group which is more vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Very easy, because then you don't have people who stand by and who can help you. So we see like the group of people who are the women can be much more bullied
Yes.
than men, or the girls, than
Mm-hmm.
boys, or um, such a certain group, like gay people can be more uh, teased and bullied than other people.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or religious groups or
Religious groups can also
ethnicity.
be minorities, can
Yeah.
be much easier be the pinpoint of bullying. Yeah.
Yes. Or a simple fact that is weak in maybe mental or emotionally, like depression or
Yes, yes.
anxiety, or physically
Or
have a
physically
visible.
can also be, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Some kind of vulnerability, present there.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a direction for someone. I can put there my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there are the standbyers. And here it's a
Yes.
really interesting group of people because they are not bullies, but they are not victims, but they are still involved. So tell us about them.
Um, you know, bullying, it confronts all of us actually. It's not only the victims or the doers.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the surrounding which is confronted with the situation.
Yeah.
This is because you have to, there's happening something in ourselves as well, and we have to stand there to take part, to be part of one group or the other. We are choosing something, and that this choosing is very difficult.
Yes. And there,
Um,
I hear a lot of
and
time,
it's a
and
lot of aggressivity. We have to think that bullying happens when, in a very aggressive manner,
yeah,
and it can be directly aggressive, like
yeah.
something which scares us, but it can be also very subtle and still aggressive, and it's still scary. It's scary.
And when you have the face-to-face confrontation, like the physical one, that's easy. You know how to prepare yourself, what you defend yourself from. But when it's subtle, like under, you don't know exactly what is it, and then you realize that you are bullied just when it's already advanced. So it's too hard to go
Yeah,
back.
that's about bully, but being a person who is looking at the situation,
Mm-hmm.
the one who is standing there, it's
Mm-hmm.
also for this person very difficult to choose sometimes. It
Yeah.
can be very confronting, because when you see someone being very aggressive to the other person, it's very difficult to intervene.
Mm-hmm.
So you
And
need something else.
I think it's more painful to be a bystander than be a victim. Because when you're a victim, from my experience, when you're a victim, you know that you are the target. But when you're a bystander, it's more, okay, what do I do now? I don't want to lose this friendship and the other friendship. And still, is that the battle inside? I see it's more like in between is harder than being in one side or another one.
I'm not that sure which. It's very difficult to say for whom is more difficult, because
Mm-hmm.
we are all confronted with a situation where we have to deal with our own pain, or our own visions, our own ideas. It's only different for everyone. For sure, for the victim is never easy. Never
Mm-hmm.
easy. A person who is looking at the situation, it's also not easy, but you have the time to withdraw, to take
Mm-hmm.
distance. Um, and for the one who is bullying, also not easy, because is also confronted, with lots
Yeah.
of situation.
And takes a lot of
But there
energy
are
to be angry.
there are different, different situation where the pain is, and who is taking attitude, who is the
Mm-hmm.
more want to say, okay, we have to do something about it.
Yeah. And who is capable and who can do something about it? Because usually when we have children, we see it's school, parents, and then things happen. When we have teenagers, again. But when we move into the adult part, then who is there to solve the problem, basically? So, or how do we solve? Is there a way to solve the problem? Those are hard
uh,
questions, I know.
Um, for sure, and we see often that is happening. That there are people who, first of all, it's very difficult to do it on your own.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Then you need a lot of. Uh, um, you have to a kind of dossier, to build up your position, to build up your story.
Mm-hmm.
But on your own it's very difficult, so you need also more people around who can support you,
To be
whether it's at home.
outnumbered.
Yes,
Yeah.
on your own is difficult, so you need more people. You need your
Mm-hmm.
network, your your tribe, your club, who can sustain you
Mm-hmm.
and who can feel the same and who want to change something, who are
Mm-hmm.
fighting for rights.
Yeah. So it has to be, you need help. If you are someone who is bullied, you need help. Even
You
as a
need
child,
help.
teenager, adult, you need first to
Yes.
look for help and say
Yeah.
something. Don't take the
Yeah.
pain on your own, right? And
Yes.
then get outnumbered and get kind of proof.
Yeah.
It's weird to say that, but yeah, it's true. And what else
Sometimes.
can you do?
Well, depends what we are talking, about what kind of bullying it is, because if it's, for example, individual bullying, and someone is bullying you, verbally, at
Mm-hmm.
a certain time you have to, you have to stop the other person to say, no, I do not accept this.
Mm-hmm. And for
Whatever
that,
I have to do,
for you to get
whatever I
there,
have
you need to be
no.
supported first, to get the courage and
Uh,
self-confidence to stand for yourself.
for sure. Sometimes we get it because we are getting crazy about it, and we say, this is, I cannot bear it anymore, and I will
Yeah.
stop it. Some people are more used from their own, background to stand up for themselves, and they will use
Mm-hmm.
that much earlier in the situation. And and if not, you need support. Indeed, emotional support, mentally support, physical, like being, not being the only one. Support,
Mm-hmm.
yes, you need in one way or another.
So
Yeah.
knowing that there are many levels of bullying and types of bullying, you need to look for help according to the kind of bullying you are in. And there will be some videos coming up later on types of bullying individually and how to get help for
Yeah.
each of it. So the main idea is to start talking about, don't take it by yourself, and look for help. That would be the steps, right, to start to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah.
In your
Yeah.
experience working with people, did you work with bullied people in your
I
career?
think in one way or another, a lot of people have been bullied.
We
There
start
is
with parenting, isn't it?
Yes, yes, because we've been bullied perhaps by our parents and we don't even realize. We've been bullied by our teachers, by our classmates, by
Mm-hmm.
our peer group, someone later work related, someone who is in a position to bully us. There is a lot of kind of bully. We know this in for example in army also. It's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
bullying, in prison, in legal bullying,
Financial bullying.
financial bullying, yes, in your profession.
Yep.
Sometimes in medical world you can be bullied.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think in one way or another we all know what it means to be bullied.
And how
It's
do
only
you
that
see
we don't
that?
realize that and we don't talk
Mm-hmm.
about it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have this culture of talking about it, and to express it. Um, so we just it's part of life. We say,
Exactly.
okay, it's part of life.
Exactly. That is the problem, because with bullying, it's always attached shame. Bullying comes with shame all the time, because in a mind of a victim, it's like, how did I got here? Am I weak? I am weak. I am, and we have those internal conversations, and it's always attached shame. So when we start talking or we want to talk about it, it took me a lot of time to get public with being bullied since I was 5. I remember the first time. It took me, years. But then I realized that shame keep people like me and others into a place of not talking. And I remember being a teenager bullied by my English teacher. It's so funny that I have this interview in English, but being bullied by my English teacher, I was on the bridge 3 times, planning and trying to commit suicide. So, and those things happen. Those are real stuff. So what would you say to someone who said, yeah, well, it's part of life, or toughen up, you just need to be strong? What would you say from a professional point of view?
Well, it's part of life. Unfortunately, it became a part of life, but it's a social construct, we have created like this.
It's socially accepted.
Perhaps, yes, perhaps it's time to deconstruct this idea and to stand up for ourselves and to stand up in various way. But it's time to do that, for sure.
Yes, and when you to do it as a community.
As a community, as what I told you, social construct, that we don't have to accept such things.
Yeah. And how would you start? Let's say we start a movement. That would be the dream of everyone. Let's say if we decide
there are a lot of movement. I mean, there are a lot of movements started already, like cyber bullying, there is a movement against it, or disability bullying. There is also a movement. Things like Black Lives Matters. It's also actually the same movement. We don't have to accept this. We are
everything.
bullied.
It's exactly at the base of everything is nasty in the society. Is bullying, basically.
Yes,
we call it different, but it's bullying.
Yes, but it's actually bullying. Yes,
it's misusing power.
Misusing power. Yes, for sure. Yeah.
It's just having this conversation is like the feeling that we are not alone. That there's the only purpose of this series of videos and education and awareness. The feeling that to create that feeling that I'm not alone. And yes, it can happen, but what can we do about it? And just knowing that you are not alone in this battle when you are a victim, especially, or when you are a bully and you cannot help yourself. I've also seen people who were crying like, I can't help myself to bully my family. And it's weird to say that, but we are so comfortable in the family, and they were just outbursting in everything at home. And the kids were scared, the partner was scared, everything was just a constant tension. And it was this desperate because I had no idea how to stop. And those things can happen for bullies.
Yes.
It's also hard.
Yes, because they don't know how to manage themselves and their own emotions and feelings, and mental status, what they have, so they need as well help, and they need also guidance. Especially we see also kids, but also adults. I'm getting also relationships, in relationship therapy, where you see that the one is more bullying the other one, and they don't realize,
Exactly, you don't realize, especially if
they
you're
need
bullied.
Help as well. Yes.
Especially if you're bullied as a child, you become bully at home.
Yes.
Without having any idea. I remember one day my son told me, Mom, you do pesta, which is in Dutch term for bullying. And I just woke up like, really? And I asked him, okay, how do you see that? And he explained me, and I was like, it's true.
Really? Is this? Yes, it's true. Yes.
And the kids,
sometimes we don't realize it's so subtle there. Yeah.
Exactly. And he told me so easy. Well, just because you are bigger than me, because I didn't have time to grow up, doesn't mean that you have to be just like that. And not hitting him, but in his term was like, big.
To make yourself so big. Anyway, you are big. This is what parents, they don't realize. You are already big.
Yes.
What you're doing, you are big. So a child, you can impose yourself on a child anyway, because you're just standing there. And
yes. And when we look, we tend to look at bullying like when it's really big and messy, but bullying starts in the very small detail when we misuse our power, not even intentionally.
Yes.
And that is the message that I really want to get out.
Yes.
Every time when you see yourself.
You can see things like what I'm getting. a lot of observation. I'm just thinking now, like people who are ironically constantly, this irony is constantly, that's misuse of power.
Yes. Yes.
Being constantly ironic and putting the other one down.
Yeah.
That's bullying.
Yes. Or laughing.
Being constant. Yes. Being constantly cynical, and putting the other, dragging the whole energy down.
Yes.
That's bullying to another person.
Raising your voice to your child,
and actually,
or to
it's
your
also
spouse.
bullying to yourself. You bully yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
And bullying yourself, about bullying yourself, when you are tired and you don't go to sleep, that's also bullying yourself.
Yes.
Or anything. When we look at bullying, it's so deep and so widespread. What would you recommend to someone who is or is not bullied, just in general terms, how to pay attention, how to spot bullying, and then what to do?
Well, we need kind of emotional intelligence, to develop emotional intelligence, to know ourselves, to know our own needs, to live according to our own needs and what you need, and to talk about it, because you can be then genuine, you know what you want, and you present yourself in that way, and then you can say also to the other one, hey, you are crossing a border. This is me. This is what I need, or this is how I want to be, treated. So
start with self-love. We cannot love others without loving ourselves.
Yes, if you want to call it like that, yeah.
Self-care, self-love,
self-care,
everything.
Yes, knowing yourself, and accepting yourself, and knowing that you are developing constantly, and that you are on the movement constantly, and you are there with yourself in every level and stage of life.
Yeah. And accepting that you're not perfect, you're just human.
For sure.
That's a journey to have.
Yeah.
Yes. So after we learn how to know ourselves and know our boundaries, then what's the next step in preventing or stopping bullying?
I'm so sorry. I have a very. Do you hear my noise here in
Not
the room?
so much as you.
It's from the neighbors. They are working about neighbors. Speaking about neighbors, so I know half of the sound I can hear. But okay, what was your question?
And we do that during lockdown, kind of partial lockdown. So we are at home for a year.
4 years.
Yes.
We have to get used with it. Yeah.
Yes.
But tell me again, what was your question?
After we discover ourselves and we see our boundaries, then what's the next step in preventing or stopping bullying?
What I think it's constantly, you need, your tribe, what I told you, your network, your, don't go out there on your own. It's very difficult, or if you have to go out there on your own, know that you have someone at home, to back you up and to be there. That's also very important. Then know also and talk to not only your own tribe, but there are laws, in the country. There is police. There is there is these legal forms of the country who can back you up as well. Make go out there and talk about it also with them. Also, you have support on emotional level, to your GP, to other doctors, or to a therapist. Don't carry this with you, because you have to take care of yourself.
Yes.
That's one. On the other hand, and what you can do, it's, to know what am I, think about what you want to change. It's very important, what you want to change there, and why and how. Yeah. I think you make use of all this support what you have around you.
Yes, and if you don't have it, just create. Start talking about it, because what I've learned, when you do it alone, is getting so life draining. You can even get sick and you have no idea why. So it's fine to get out and speak, because you're not alone. If you listen to this, you're not alone. Yeah. Everyone is bullied in one way or another. Yes. Sometimes it's bigger and louder, and sometimes, as my son said, can be a
It's
loving
more
mom.
subtle. Yes.
Yes. So
Yeah.
it's
You don't realize. Yes.
yeah, it's weird to say it's normal, but it happens, let's say. And if we pay attention to those little tiny details, then we get used to pay attention to the big details when happen too.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be like know yourself, get support at home and in inner circle, get support outside in authorities, police, and everything, and organization who offer support.
Organizations as well, yeah.
Especially for kids, teenagers, and work. I know for sure there are a lot of organizations, and get help, professional help, like medical help, therapy, coaching, mentoring, because getting therapy is not, please tell us that getting therapy, you don't have to be crazy for that. We need to break that one too.
No, not for sure not. For sure not. It's a kind of mental and emotional hygiene.
Exactly.
What we all need, all need. I need myself. I'm also going regularly in therapy to to go through this process of resetting and cleaning myself and looking again at the situation. And I'm changing myself as well through life. So I need my emotional support as well. And
it's like brushing your teeth and detoxing once a year or twice a year.
Emotional detoxification, and also change. We have some ideas now, but who tells me that my ideas are 100% accurate and true?
I would call it personal development and mental hygiene. I love that combination. It's like literally detox your mind and grow. Well, I think this conversation was so useful. Thank you, Dana, for being with us today. And thank you for giving us your wisdom and input on it. We will invite you again on specific subjects.
Thank you.
Because bullying, as we see, it's so deep and so rooted. In order to be aware where it starts, we will need more discussions from parenting to everything.
Yes, for sure.
Need more help. Thank you again. And
you're welcome.
For those who listen, you can find Anna in the description below. You can find links and get help with her. You work online, right?
Like I'm working online with people from all over the world.
So if you speak English, Romanian, Dutch, what other language? Say you're multicolored.
Yes. Multicolored, I am. I'm truly am. Yes.
Thank you again, and looking forward to have you in another episode.
Thank you so much.